The desperate attempt to manifest one specific person has almost nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with a wound in your own self-concept you can't quite see. We are going to find that wound, and until you do, every relationship you pursue will be built on the same cracked foundation, guaranteeing the same painful cycle. The entire fixation on one person is a profound act of misdirection. Your mind tells you the problem is their absence. The solution, therefore, is their presence. It feels logical. It feels urgent. It is, however, a complete illusion. You are chasing a symbol, a stand-in for a feeling you believe you cannot generate on your own. This person becomes the sole authorized vendor of a feeling you crave. Worthiness, validation, security, being chosen. You've convinced yourself they hold the key, so you focus all your energy on their hand, on their pocket, on them. Imagine you're navigating with a compass. You think you're pointing it north, towards them. In reality, the needle is being pulled by a huge, unacknowledged magnetic deposit right under your feet. The compass is working perfectly. It's just pointing you towards the source of the distortion. That source is a belief about yourself that lies dormant until a person who perfectly resonates with it appears. But why does the brain lock onto one individual with such blinding intensity? The mechanism is less romantic than you think. The brain locks on because that specific person is a perfect mirror for an unresolved story. They are a living echo of a past emotional experience. The unavailable partner who texts sporadically feels strangely familiar to the part of you that had to fight for a parent's attention. The person who seems so much more successful or put together resonates with a deep-seated feeling of being less than. You are not obsessed with them as a person. You are obsessed with the opportunity to finally win an old game. Your subconscious believes that if you can just get this person to choose you, it will retroactively heal the original wound. It mistakes a new cast for an old script. Think about the story you tell yourself about them. Is it truly about their unique qualities? Or is it about how you will finally feel once they confer their approval? That's the tell. You aren't trying to get a person, you're trying to get a feeling. The person is just the delivery system you fixated on. This fixation is a trauma response. It's the psyche's attempt to find resolution by recreating the initial conditions of the wound. The obsession feels so powerful because it's not just a crush. It is your entire emotional history demanding a rewrite. This is where the process becomes a trap, because your mind begins building a version of them that makes the story even more potent. It creates a hologram. This hologram has a dangerous side effect. It's perfect. In your mind, you begin a careful editing process. You airbrush their flaws, you mute the memories of their inconsistencies, their bad moods, their selfish moments. You amplify their good qualities until they glow. You create a fan edit of a human being, a curated highlights reel. Then, you place this flawless creation on a pedestal. From that moment, a power dynamic is set in stone. They are up there, idealized and complete. You are down here, lacking and in need. This act of placing them above you reinforces the very wound that started the obsession. You feel unworthy, so you make them the definition of worth. You feel unseen, so you make them the ultimate prize for being seen. Every time you daydream about a perfect scenario with them, you are practicing the feeling of your own inadequacy. You are worshipping at an altar you built. You are falling in love with your own projection, a story you are telling yourself about who they are. Then, your brain starts actively filtering reality to protect this fragile construction. It's a mechanism that ensures you remain stuck in the loop. The mechanism is confirmation bias, weaponized. Your mind becomes a detective, seeking clues that support your chosen narrative. A generic quote they post is a secret message to you. Seeing their car on the street is a sign from the universe. A polite, two-word text response is analyzed for hidden meaning, for hope. Simultaneously, you ignore all contradictory evidence. Their silence is because they're busy and overwhelmed. Their clear disinterest is because they're scared of their deep feelings for you. You build a case file, and you are both the detective and the only juror. This creates an intense scarcity mindset. The world, with its billions of people, shrinks to a population of one. They become the single key that can unlock your happiness, the one unique source of the feeling you need. This is the ultimate expression of a self-concept wound. The core belief that your well-being is entirely dependent on an external source outside of your control. It is a self-imposed prison. You are thirsty in a world full of water, but have convinced yourself you can only drink from one specific, distant spring. The common advice to just focus on yourself or get a hobby fails because it misunderstands the depth of the problem. You can't distract yourself from a program that's running your entire operating system. The only way out is to go directly into the wound they represent. Going into the wound means deconstructing the symbol. It requires a brutal honesty. You have to meticulously separate the actual, flawed human being from the divine hologram you've created. The first step is to reclaim the feeling you've outsourced to them. Take out a piece of paper. List the top 3 feelings you believe having this person would give you. Is it security? A sense of being finally chosen? Deep validation? Look at those words. Now ask yourself a hard question. Where else in my life is this feeling absent? Where did the belief that I lack this feeling begin? The person is just the latest actor to play a role in a very old play. Your work is to go backstage and read the original script. When you trace the feeling back, you'll find its origin. A childhood where you felt overlooked. A past relationship that ended with a feeling of abandonment. A deep-seated belief that you are fundamentally hard to love. The specific person didn't create this feeling, they just activated it. They are the alarm bell, not the fire. The work is to sit with that original feeling to give that younger version of yourself the validation and security you are now trying to get from a stranger. You must become your own source for that feeling. You will see stories online of people who successfully manifested a specific person. Some of these are true, but look closer at the stories that last. The success came after the person did the internal work and reached a state of wholeness first. They became the person who no longer needed the specific person to feel complete. The manifestation was a byproduct of their self-concept shift. It was their reality, mirroring back their new inner state of being. The goal is to make their validation irrelevant. It can be a pleasant bonus, and nice to have. It can never again be the entire foundation of your emotional stability. The true aim is a state of peaceful indifference. And the strangest part is what happens to the dynamic when you finally reach that state. The outcome unfolds in a way you never expect. When you genuinely heal the underlying wound, one of 2 things happens. The first is that the person may suddenly reappear in your life, reflecting back your newfound sense of wholeness. They seem different because you are different. You're no longer broadcasting a frequency of neediness, so they respond to the new signal of self-sufficiency. More often, however, something far more liberating occurs. You simply lose interest. The spell breaks. The obsessive energy that felt like a permanent part of you evaporates. You look at them and see a normal, flawed human being. You see the things you selectively ignored before. The hologram dissolves, and you're left looking at a person you might not even be compatible with. The intense, magnetic pull is gone. You realize the entire drama was a movie you were projecting onto a blank screen. It was your film, your story, your wounds. They were just the screen. This is the great inversion. The entire process was never about getting them. It was your subconscious using them as a giant, flashing arrow pointing to the exact part of your self-concept that was begging for your attention. They were a messenger, carrying a map to your own treasure. The work was never to get the person. It was to become the person who no longer needs them. And that person is magnetic, for reasons that have nothing to do with manifestation techniques. That person is whole.